So, Shade Room posted on Instagram some clips from the Monique interview on Club Shay Shay. So I'm scrolling the comments like I do because that's my new favorite pastime. And I seen a bunch of like praise for Monique and oh yeah, Monique is standing up and yeah, she was right. And then I seen one comment that said, oh, men really hate Monique. I thought about that. Because I like to think, why would someone say that or think that? When you have an opposing opinion on someone, they say, oh, you must hate them. And then even deeper, why would they say men hate Monique? And I realized that men are better equipped to with someone or point out when someone is conflating an argument, gaslighting, creating a straw argument. Basically, if we're talking about a conversation and then you make a point that no one was making, you make an argument that nobody was making, and then you defeat that argument. Then it gives the illusion that you won the argument or that you're right in your perspective. Monique's an interesting case because Monique is always the victim. You have to be wary of people who are always the victim. It's always somebody who's done something to me, always done me wrong. My mom used to say to me, if everybody likes you, you're the problem. If everybody hates you, then you're the problem. But she said it the other way, so you guys can flip it around. I ain't got much time. I'm starting my day. But the point of that is, if everybody likes you, then you're probably a people pleaser. You probably do things to please other people. If everybody hates you or doesn't like you, it could be a myriad of different things. But either way, the onus is always on you. For some reason, Monique's always somebody who's done something wrong to her or wronged her. She always attaches herself to other people's issues and other people actual issues and plights, and she weaponizes it for her own good, which is pretty selfish. When she was talking about equal pay for women and black women being marginalized, these are real issues that really happen to women and black women. That's not what was happening with Netflix. She actually went on The Breakfast Club and confirmed that by explaining what happened on Netflix unintentionally. She literally saw comedians getting paid, and she said, hey, I'm a comedian, and then approached Netflix and said, hey, I'm a comedian, buy a special from me. And they say, well, do you have special to sell? No, but I can go out and tour. And have you been touring? Not really. She started touring when people started getting paid, so she started touring to kind of develop an act. But in either case, Netflix wasn't interested in her work. So that's like you offering services to someone who doesn't know you or doesn't like you or you're just offering services to someone and they decline the services. And they say, nah, we're good on that. We aren't really looking for we ain't looking for those services right now. And then you blast them publicly and say they hate black women and they don't want to. No, they were uninterested in your services. And then before you blast them or before they decline your interest, they say, okay, you know what? You are a decorated comedian. You know what? We will buy a special once you present it. This is what we'll buy it for. Nope, you gave such and such this much money, and that's what happened with the Netflix deal from her own account with her husband. Now, the Shannon Sharpe interview, because I watched it, and it would have been a better interview if Shannon Sharpe would have asked a simple question. Monique, when are you ever the problem? And then we probably could have got a real interview. Or maybe not. She probably deflect, create a narrative or create some other conversation to make you be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. See what so a manipulator does is they will create a scenario that you agree with and tie it to what they're saying. That's like if your wife eats your lunch in the fridge and you go, babe, why'd you eat my lunch in the fridge? I was saving that for tomorrow. I had to take that to work. And she goes, well, you don't want me to eat? See, now you're gaslighting and you're conflating the argument, because it's not about me not wanting you to eat. It's that was mine to set aside. At least ask me or tell me about it. So people who champion Monique or people who like, yeah, are, of course, women, because women are, the thought process is going to be an emotional thought process. So if they can connect with you emotionally, then they'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. But also it's people who lack accountability, and they're the victim in every conversation that they're in. They're a victim in every story. Be careful of that person who's a victim in every story. Nothing was your fault. Because you got into it with DL about a contract dispute. Who goes on last? Who goes on first? When it was obvious that DL goes on last, he's been a touring comedian. You start doing movies and TV, you stop doing comedy, which happens a lot. DL's a stand-up comedian. But either way, no matter what the dispute is, you brought his daughter's essay situation into it publicly again for no reason. She had nothing to do with that. She had nothing to do with that. There's no way you can say to yourself when you're at home with your husband or your daddy and you go, hey, was that the best way to handle this? It can't be, right? But if you're never the issue, then most likely you're always the issue. Just thought it was interesting that people will be like, oh, men hate Monique. No. It's just we can sort out the bullshit. It's probably why we be with the shits most of the time. We don't hate Monique. We just know that has nothing to do with that. And that's if you get along with no one, not even your family. And of course you don't get it with nobody in your family, no cousin, your kids, nobody fucks with you. These are documented things. But shout out to Club Shay Shay, shout out to Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is like a guest host, because he ain't gonna call you out on anything. He's not gonna give you any pushback. He just gonna have a conversation with you, have a drink with you. I respect it. I dig it. But man, it would have been a great conversation if they could really have a conversation. It's just hard to watch. But I don't know, man. That's just my opinion. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Just thought I'd make this quick video before I get my day started, grab my coffee, and get that shit going, man. But as always, I don't want no trouble, man. None at all. Swear to God.
Listen to the podcast so you can hear it for yourself.
Like and subscribe.
When he first comes on, he says, you're like my mother, you're like my aunt, you're like my sister. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then we do the podcast. We speak about the Tyler Perry situation. Oprah Winfrey, he said, I don't really know Oprah, but I'm going to reach out to Tyler. I appreciate that. Kevin kept his word. He reached out to Tyler Perry. Kevin Hart called me back about maybe a week or so later. He said, Mo, I talked to Tyler. He said he don't want to revisit it. He said, but I tell you what, let's move past that, Mo. Let's just move past that and let's just do great things. So whatever
That's what Kevin said.
I want you to hear me, Kevin Hart. Let's move past that, Mo. Let's do some great things together. Don't even worry about it. Whatever y'all want to do, I will partner with you. I'll executive produce with you. You just let me know what you want to do. Now, let me say that before we go any further, because I want to make sure I give Kevin Hart his proper credit. When my family was up against the wall, Kevin Hart wrote us a check and said, here you go. We're forever grateful for that. When we